Welcome back. You're now watching the political segment of the weekend show. The topic of discussion is Edo Elections 2020. Yesterday, on Democracy Day, Governor Godwin Obaseki was disqualified from contesting in the primaries of the All Progressives Congress, APC, for the 2020 Guber elections. Mr. Obaseki was disqualified by a screening panel constituted by the party to clear contenders for the party's ticket ahead of the governorship election later this year on the grounds of absence of his secondary school and NYSC certificates. Joining us on the program now to discuss this, we have the PDP chairman who has been alleged to have welcomed Godwin Obaseki to the party. Mr. Chairman, are you with us?
Yes, I'm with you this morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to the program. I need you to clarify off the bat. Have you accepted Governor Godwin Obaseki into the People's Democratic Party in Edo State?
As we speak, His Excellency Godwin Obaseki is not a member of the PDP.
Thank you so much for that direct answer. So is it possible for him to still join the party at this stage and contest for the 2020 Guber elections?
Well, as I've said in many other fora, the PDP has an open door policy. His Excellency Godwin Obaseki is a Nigerian. He's from Edo State. He is free, just like any other Nigerian, to join our party at any time of his choice. If he does express that wish, I can tell you as the state chairman of the party, we will accept it.
Honorable Tony, okay, go on.
Can he contest, can he take part in the primary election coming up on the 19th of June? That will depend on what the NWC does. If they grant him a waiver and they clear him to contest, why not? But
okay.
Will he, if he joins us, will he get an automatic ticket? Of course not. He cannot do that. We cannot give him an automatic ticket. There's a process in place which has to be adhered to.
Okay, well, Honorable Tony, we have noticed the trend where one party waits for another party to conduct its primaries first before the other party does, like in the case of APC and PDP. Is there any reason why the People's Democratic Party has waited for APC to go through with their screening and their own processes before the PDPs? And so there's the suggestion that perhaps the People's Democratic Party was waiting for the disqualification to happen so that they could accept the Governor Godwin Obaseki into the People's Democratic Party. Is there any truth to this allegation?
That is absolute falsehood. In fact, I'm surprised you are saying that, but that is not the sequence of events.
Okay.
When the National Working Committee rolled out its timetable earlier, the days for the conduct of our primaries in Edo State were slated for 23rd and 24th. That is after APC's primaries, which was slated for 22nd.
Okay.
However, after we have analyzed the political and security situation in Edo State, especially in Benin City, and in line with what we do in PDP, that is, we think through processes, we analyze situations. We came to the conclusion here in Edo State that it would be better for us to have our primaries before APC's primaries. Because when you have a party with two chairmen, with two secretariats, with two modes of conduct for the primaries, that is anarchy. So we decided to bring our own forward, get it out of the way, and let them do what they want to do from the 22nd. So on the contrary, we brought our own forward due to the analysis of the security situation that we had on the table.
Okay, thanks for clarifying that.
Mr. Chairman, sir, you said if the incumbent, I don't know if you can hear me. Hello?
I can hear you.
Okay, you said if the incumbent governor approaches the PDP to join the party, you would welcome him with open arms, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, see, Nigerians, I have to be completely honest with you, sir. Nigerians are laughing at the two major political parties, the People's Democratic Party and the All Progressives Congress. the both of your parties throw banter at each other every 4 years. The PDP has categorically stated that Governor Obaseki has failed on numerous occasions. And now, Mr. Chairman, you're telling me that you'll be willing to open your party up to this alleged failure, the words of your party, into your party to contest the gubernatorial elections. Is it not clear to Nigerians that the both political parties, the two major political parties, are just making jest of Nigerians? There's in fact no ideology backing these political parties.
But I don't know where you are getting your statistics from, but I dare say that that is not what we are hearing on this end, from this end, that Nigerians are laughing. And Nigerians are really laughing at the APC. Nigerians are really laughing at what they are doing. Nigerians are laughing at the way they are humiliating their own governor, the governor of the state. He humiliated yesterday, shamelessly on national TV. Nigerians are laughing at that. That is true. But the Nigerians are laughing at the PDP. They are beg your pardon.
Mr. Chairman.
That is not true.
Mr. Chairman, the Edo State.
Let me finish.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
The PDP, as we speak, is clear that we are way not like them. We have only one chairman, we have one secretariat, and we have a clear vision on what we want to do for Edo people. As for criticizing Governor Obaseki for not doing the things he's supposed to do, that is different from accepting him to join our party. That is different from for him to exercise his fundamental human right to associate with anybody he feels free to associate with.
What makes the PDP...
Are you telling me that because we criticized him, if he wants to join us now, we'll say no? Of course not.
What makes the PDP different from the APC in terms of ideologies? What distinguishes the People's Democratic Party from the All Progressives Congress when candidates can just crisscross from either party and run? What makes it different? Why should Nigerians vote PDP versus APC? What makes your people committed to your party?
Now, let me tell you this. The PDP is clearly different from the APC. We are not like them. We are not like them. We don't have two secretariats in the city. We don't have two chairmen in the city. We're not contemplating having 2 months of conduct of the primaries. Now, you will agree with me that the PDP, we know how to create wealth. We know how to create employment. We know how to make the people happy. We know how to make security in place. The APC-led administration has depleted our GDP in Edo State from $16 billion to $10 billion. The rate of insecurity has increased under this administration. That is clear to the blind. That is, even the blind can see that. The deaf can see that.
Honorable Tony, but we have seen that your last flag bearer, just 4 years ago, is now the preferred choice of the opposition party. And so if PDP has these strong structures set in place, this would have been a good time to reconsolidate efforts and support the same candidates who you supported but have now lost to the other party. Doesn't that show cracks within your party?
I don't think so. I don't think so. I think that, again, everybody is free to exercise his right of association. That is his choice, and we don't grudge him for that. Good luck to him. I'm sure you know that we have 3 very, very capable hands as our aspirants wanting to clinch our ticket. Any one of those 3, any one of either Barrister Kenny Maswagbo, Engineer Gideon Ihine, or Honorable Ogbede Hama, any one of these 3 people will beat anybody APC brings up for the elections. Take my word for it. The people are tired in Edo State. The suffering is too much. People are dying of hunger in this state. So it doesn't matter who APC brings up, we will beat them. And that is why some of us are very, very, very aghast with what the INEC chairman said the other day, that if the elections are disrupted, they will declare it inconclusive. Come on, are you serious? Who does that? Who says that? In Kogi, helicopters were shooting at people. Elections were declared conclusive. Bayelsa, The lawsuits were flying all over the place. Elections were declared conclusive. So we are taking this opportunity to alert the nation of the sinister moves that INEC are contemplating in carrying out in Edo State. And trust me, this is not your normal PDP. This is different.
Mr. Chairman, I'm sure you just listened to what you have just said. People are suffering in Edo State. People are dying in Edo State. Who would you attribute that suffering and neglect to? What party would you attribute it to?
Of course, the APC-led administration for the past 12 years.
Okay, so the APC-led administration, and this is also a man, and this is
PDP. We have been out of power for the past.
This is a man that you're also about to accept.
You want to hold us responsible for that?
This is a man that you're also. This is a man that you're also about to accept into your own party. Hello. Okay, I think.
Okay, unfortunately, I think we've lost.
I think we've lost the PDP chairman of Edo State. I hope we can get him back on the line. So Andy, I mean, it boils down to the issue of ideologies. If we have these politicians keep crisscrossing between political parties, Nigeria, we can't make any meaningful progress.
My question is even about the supporters. Each of these parties, beyond the party structure, have supporters and people who vote based on their ideologies. And so we're now confusing the people if at the end of the day it's just the figurehead which is changing. And so if we have these problems, what happens to the people? What happens to an average Nigerian who is non-partisan but wants good governance, accountability and economic progress? Where do they now stand if, oh, I supported this person and he's here and the other way? Unfortunately, I don't think we can reach Honorable Tony anymore, but it's clear he had stated certain points that Governor Obaseki is not yet a member of the People's Democratic Party. So that's clear. He has also said it wouldn't be a free ticket, so he would have to work for it. So we hope to see.
However, they will welcome him with open arms. The same way the All Progressives Congress, we must add, opened their arms to the former candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Pastor Osasu. You see, my issue is that in order to further the tenets of our democracy, we must get serious about our politics. We must. We cannot continue in this way and expect
go back to making it about the people.
Exactly. It has to be about the people and it has to be about ideologies. What are the ideologies running these political parties, right? We need to start establishing that, or else it's just going to be the same people crisscrossing, looking at the platform.
Every 4 years.
Every 4 years. So anyways, unfortunately, we can't get the chairman back. Mr. Chairman, if you're watching, we hope you will accede when next we call on you to join the weekend show. But in the meantime, we wish the good people of Edo State all the best in the upcoming elections, and we hope that democracy does prevail and the true wish of the people comes to light in Edo State. We'll take a short break. When we return, more on the weekend show. Don't go anywhere. Welcome to the second half of our political segment. We're talking about banditry and kidnapping in Nigeria, the rising incidences of banditry, armed robbery, kidnapping, and other criminal activities across the country is giving Nigerians serious cause for concern, even as President Muhammadu Buhari just yesterday expressed the determination of his administration to remain committed to the security of lives and property in Nigeria. In his speech to mark Democracy Day, President Buhari said security was being accorded appropriate priority, but that appears to be a great extent has been misunderstood or mismanaged by the security agencies in Nigeria, which has resulted in a loss of lives in many different parts of the country. Joining us today to discuss this, we have two astute politicians.
Senator Kabir Barkiya, he is the senator representing Katsina Central Senatorial District in the National Assembly. Welcome to the weekend show, sir.
Thank you very much.
Also on Skype, we have Osita Chidoka, former Minister of Aviation, who would also be speaking on this issue. Welcome to the weekend show, sir.
Thank you very much.
Welcome, gentlemen. So let me just reel out some of the statistics for you. In Kaduna State, for instance, no fewer than 105 people were killed and 29 people abducted within the past 4 months. Between March 1st and May 30th, 2020, 92 people were killed in Kajuru, Chikon, Igabi, Jiwa and Benin Gwara local government areas of the state. You have in Kogi State a notable spike in kidnapping, armed robbery, banditry, and other criminal activities. We just heard this week actually about the policemen that were killed during an attempted bank robbery. 22 people were abducted in separate operations in the same day. In Benue State, the same thing is going on in Bornu. Over 90 people were killed just last week. In Katsina State, 70 bodies were recovered, 47 people were killed in a spate of just a few weeks. In Nasarawa State, the same thing. In Niger State, we see these insecurities rising in all these different states. I'll start with you, Mr. Chidoka. I don't know if you can hear me clearly, but what do you think? How would you assess the present administration's dealing with these security issues?
Thank you very much. And first of all, I have to start by saying that security issues are national in scope, international dimensions of security issues, and that it cannot be situated within the context of what has happened only in the past few months. But the most important part of it is that, in reference to the current government, is that it has it made security one of the cardinal points of its coming to power. And based on that, this government has not paid the requisite attention to the issue of security. And I will explain that briefly. Security in its major form, what you see as banditry, kidnapping, herdsmen, fighting with farmers, all the many manifestations of insecurity, whether it is low-level crime, low-level corruption, is fundamentally the absence or the weakened state of policing in Nigeria. Policing has been badly weakened because we live in an utopia that thinks that you can from Abuja manage 200 million people with about 300,000 policemen. Now, managing 300 or 400,000 policemen from Abuja is already a Herculean task. If you look at the police budget, if you see the amount voted for fueling, you will see that if you share it to all the about 9,000 police, both stations, divisions, area police officers, and also police posts, it will amount to about 1 liter of fuel per police station daily. If you were to kit all the policemen in Nigeria, it will consume the whole budget of the police. So first and foremost, we need to pull back and look at our security architecture with a view to resolving, one, the recruitment process. The recruitment process, we thought it will improve. With this government, has not improved. There is no transparency in the recruitment process. We have to think about the funding process. We have to talk about who will control the funding of police at the local levels. Then we have to talk about the management of information using modern technology, using the forensics and the IT technology that is available to us. And finally, we have to look at policing across all the gamut of policing, because we keep making the distinction, thinking that policing means only the armed police officers of the federal government. The customs officers are police officers. They manage our borders. Immigration are police officers. Federal road safety officers are police officers. Civil defense officers are police officers. What we need to do is to enhance this policing capacity. Take it down to our vigilantes in the villages. Take it down to the people that are even the guards in our areas, and create a platform for seamless information sharing. That is why the police in Kaduna will stop a criminal, and they will know that this same criminal is on the wanted list from the police in Anambra, because there is no synergy of information. So I think that the government today has not paid attention to the issue of policing. Now, once you deal with the issue of policing, then you can come into the social issues that cause crime, which is intensification of poverty. Okay, if you look at all the states you've mentioned, poverty is more acute in those areas.
Okay, I'd like to bring the senator in also. And interestingly, you are from Katsina State, which has been in the news lately. In the president's speech, he spoke about how all the local governments that were taken over by Boko Haram have now been returned to Nigeria, and security is better. But what we have seen is that other states are now affected. It's also quite sad that we have refused to identify these problems and give them names. In the president's speech, he says he regrets the incidents in Bornu and Katsina for the number of lives lost. We should call it what it is. Is it banditry? Is it kidnapping? whatever there is, it's a problem which we have even refused to name. But you represent the people of your constituency and your state, and you're in the National Assembly. What exactly is going on, and is this going to continue?
Thank you very much for these very good questions. Of course, everybody knows, if you go back to the history of insecurity in this country, the Boko Haram problems, which this government inherited. And also after some times, the federal government has tried their own best at least to see that, yes, the Boko Haram maybe has been minimized, if not eliminated. And then all of a sudden, again, we have another problem of banditry and also kidnapping. There are many, if you look at it, many perspectives. For example, now, some people have the belief that, yes, these are problems of politics, And some people are saying, look, if we go back to maybe some 20 years back, where the traditional rulers also are playing their important role, and now the traditional rulers are being removed from, controlling the security, you will see that, yes, definitely there are many problems that he has brought this banditry and also kidnapping. Because I could recall, recently we have been discussing issues of insecurity. Even myself, I know I presented not less than 3 motions for banditry and insecurity, especially in my state, Katsina state, of course, as you say, the president state. So one time, the governor, of course, is trying his own possible best. He thought that maybe when we invited these people, like having an amnesty, that of course it will solve the problems. I could recall, the governors at least set a committee, we have a security committee. They went, even and tried to meet the leaders of this, the bandits and also kidnappers, so that maybe if we sit down, we have dialogue with them, we thought it will solve the problem. We did that one, of course, I was there. And we continue, but all of a sudden, of course, they will agree. And then after some time again, you will see they will still come back again and start attacking. So we found out that, yes, there are some informants, who are causing all this problem. You will see that maybe in a local government, each village has some informant that will invite these bandits. They will come and tell him, please, come and see, so maybe somebody has sold, his cows, he has money, come and, take over. So you see, as a result of that one, when they come to the villages, and then the village will also resist. So if maybe just like 10 people came, the bandits, and then they attacked 1 or 2 houses, of course the people will resist. In the process also maybe they will kill some of the bandits, and then they will go back again and come in hundreds. So you could see that at least that's a problem. Until unless maybe we bring back these traditional rulers, whereby anybody who comes in a village head will know, yes, there's a stranger that comes to the village, that of course, yes, where is he from? What brought him? They will investigate. If they think that, yes, it's somebody that they cannot talk to, please tell him, go. We will not accept.
I wonder how feasible a solution such as the one you prefer is. I've been to southern Kaduna, I've been to Zamfara, I've been to places in the north with high insecurity, and I do agree that the governors have gone out of their way to sit down and negotiate with these insurgents. But as you said, they would stop for a while, then come back again in their numbers, maybe because the money isn't coming as frequently or whatever the situation is. So now you've preferred the solution of giving the traditional rulers the authority over the security forces, but knowing that the traditional rulers have their own biases, have their own ethnic relations. How feasible is that? Because even in southern Kaduna, I went to Dangoma, I went to Goska. They're 2 separate religions, 2 different tribes, and they have those internal wranglings within themselves. So which traditional ruler in a situation like that would take care of the security, and how do we know he or she wouldn't favor, the tribe or the origin in which they come from?
So, what I'm trying to say in a nutshell, that of course, maybe the security agencies have to also liaise with the traditional rulers, Okay. Of course, then we have security agents, just like maybe the minister just said, of course, even the way of recruiting the police now in this country has, many loopholes, because I could recall just sometime last 2 or 3 months when they wanted to recruit. You will see that the police commission and also the fourth headquarters are having the problems. This people say, no, we are responsible for recruitment. This, at the end of the day, you see, that problem was known, and they went to court. So, but what I'm trying to say that, of course, if they could liaise with the traditional rulers, of course, traditional rulers, for example, now what you are saying, of course, we know we have different religions and different ethnicities, but that doesn't matter. If the security agent could liaise, I could recall, when we were just, some years, maybe 40 years back, you will see that, of course, the police people, when they come to a village, they always first go to the traditional ruler, and also if there's any case. But nowadays, it's a different case. You see, a police will just go to a village, maybe if there's they are suspected some person, they will just take him without even liaising with the village head or the whatever, whoever is in charge of that, village, you see. So at least if they liaise, like this informant I was trying to say, they are staying in entire villages, of which most of them, even the traditional are aware of them, but they are helpless because the security agents are not liaising with them. So if they can liaise with them and make sure that, yes, they can fish out all those people, I'm sure this will be minimized. Just like in Katsina, the problem we are facing now, even now the security, of course, the president and the federal government has just sent a combined team, military, police, at least to see what they could do. So at least, but the most important thing is those informants. Unless, for example, now you can just go inside the bush and start bombing, and most of the immediately the informant will tell them, look, the military are coming. And then they will just quickly leave the village, and then they come in the forest, the bush, and then they come to the villages and hide there, because the informant will give them places to stay. And after maybe the military has started bombarding the bush, and then they will also go back.
Okay, Senator, I want to bring back Mr. Chidoka. Now, the administration which you worked in, they had to do some negotiations and amnesty programs. This current administration also, we have seen our government over time try to negotiate with these insurgents, try to have agreements, and this has shown to be a temporary fix. I like both of your takes on community policing and the villages and traditional rulers playing a part. But what is the role of deterrence in all of this? How can we actually deter these people from doing this as opposed to just paying them off temporarily?
So that's the problem about copying and pasting. You may copy correctly, but you may not paste correctly. So the amnesty program is a different type of program, because the Niger Delta militants were agitating for political ends. The bulk of the agitations that came from the Niger Delta started from, if you recall, the Niger Delta area, as far back as in the 1960s, Colonel Adakaboro has led a rebellion from there. And then by the time the General Abacha killed Kensarawiwa, the Niger Delta became more militarized in their request for derivation. So they called it resource control. Now, in the pursuit of resource control, a group of young people, militants, took over that campaign of resource control and made it a terror campaign, saying, if you don't give us resource control, we will do this. Now, to be able to de-escalate that crisis, we had to de-escalate it by, first of all, the government granted 13% derivation under President Obasanjo. Now, because the young men have started benefiting from that crisis, President Yar'Adua had to find a way to get them out of it. So it is a totally different situation from the banditry and the kidnapping. They have no political ends. They are criminals. The bandits and the kidnappers are criminals. So there is no way you can solve their problem by negotiation. If you look at the case of Boko Haram, they are ideological. It is a religious warfare by a brand of Islam that is fundamentally saying, we will revert you to the old part of Islam. No schooling for people. So you cannot convince an ideologue like that with negotiation. So what has happened is that there is bound to be, in fact, the government is actually funding the banditry by giving them money. So all we need to do is to have the capacity as a state to monopolize violence and instill order in that society. That is the purpose of government. when people elect a government is that we are surrendering our capacity for violence and giving it to that government to be able to use it to enforce order. So in the case of community policing, what we need to do is to first of all start by this architecture. I go back to it again, the security architecture of the country. Who is a policeman? We need to define that. How do we recruit a policeman? We need to define that. What do we know of that policeman? We need to define that. We need to go even down to the issue of our basic function of local government, which is street naming and street numbering. You need to know the houses in every locality, who lives there. The North used to have a very good order under the Native Authority. But what destroyed Native Authority was when the traditional rulers became political accomplices of the ruling party. So they used the policing of that period to harass opponents. So that's why we stopped the idea of community policing. But now we can re-establish it under the local government system. Now, under the local government system, the local governments have to go back and perform their basic function, which is identify every house in that village, know who lives in every village, give us that data, so that the police will not be operating in a blind atmosphere. Then we need national databases to be able to go to the issue of deterrence, including our court process and our correctional facilities. All our prisons are old. All our prisons were built by the colonial masters, and we haven't done much to improve them. We need to be able to improve our correctional facilities to be able to talk about deterrence.
Mr. Chidoka, fantastic solutions that you've laid out. I spoke to an economist on my other show a few weeks ago, and he was saying that Nigeria is broke. So these suggestions, while they're quite laudable, how implementable are they given our current economic crisis we are facing in Nigeria?
So the state capacity is not a function of the amount of money you have. It's about state philosophy, the organizing principle of the state, and the state having the capacity. I mean, if you go back to medieval Europe, they were able to collect taxes from people. Roman government was able to go to Israel, capture it, and impose a tax on them. So in today's world, what is important is what is the purpose of government? If the government is designed for the people, then what I'm talking about so far are cheap solutions. Cheap in the sense that we already have the policing capacity available. Today, technology has come to our aid. Why are we not building an application that will allow the civil defense, who trains all the private security guards in Nigeria, to be able to link them to the same platform that they can report what you see, you report? There is no street you go to in Nigeria that you will not see a private security company operating. If you talk to those private security people in every street, they will tell you who lives in which house and who goes where. What happens in my street, I learned from the private security operatives in that street. And because I have been interested in this subject, I normally interview private security officers. What we are lacking is to coordinate them. There should be a single training institute for all private security officers, and we give them a simple application running on an Android phone or any phone, just for them to report. Through that way, we can even begin to gather the intelligence required for us to be able to enforce. So I'm not even talking about hiring new people. I'm not asking the local governments to hire their own police. No, they should perform their basic function. If the local governments cannot name streets and numbers, how can they now look after security of lives and property? They need to stop looking at government as a way of extracting levy from the people and using it to fund the lifestyle of government officials. That is why corruption in Nigeria has been totally, the way we've defined it has been wrong. The major definition of corruption is detracting from the rules. If the rule says a local government should be able to name streets and number houses, once they detract from that, it is already corruption. They have corrupted the system. The system has given them clear rules before we even come into the issue of money, stealing the money. So I am saying that what we need to do today, and in the event of even low economic environment, it will worsen the issue of crime, because people are going to look for money by hook or by crook to be able to fund their lifestyle. So this is now the time for us to resolve the issue of state capacity in security.
Mr. Chidoka, but even intelligence gathering we know cost money. I think it's unrealistic for us to say that money and security don't go hand in hand. We need to be able to invest in this sector in order to see any meaningful change. So given the economic status of Nigeria today, what can be done? How do we channel these funds into the appropriate organizations, law enforcement organizations, to see that we can continue to collect information? Because if you're stuck in a case where the person who's gathering information for you is paid more by either the Boko Haram or the other insurgents, that person is most likely going to go with the person who is paying him more. So we need money to actually enact some of these brilliant solutions that you've reeled out on the program. So how can we channel or raise the finances that we need to channel to these security agencies to improve our intelligence gathering and other technical means that we can use to quell the insecurity in Nigeria?
You see, I have a fundamental difference with you on this issue now. The fundamental difference is that once money is the basis of a government functionary performing his function, then that person is a mercenary. It means that he can be bought. In the United States, you have situations where people are CIA agents and they are lured by Russians or any other foreign intelligence. Some of them fall for it. But they have an internal mechanism to be able to identify the moles within them and punish them fiercely. Same thing with all over the countries. People try to bribe government officials, but the bulk of people who work for government, who are instrumental to the upkeep of the state, first and foremost, agree that that legitimate state, which has capacity for violence and has capacity for deterrence, will be able to catch you no matter what you do at the end of the day. So fundamentally, I have a problem with that intelligence gatherer who requires to be paid. You need to pay him his wages, but once it is about who pays him higher, then he becomes a mercenary.
Mr. Chidoka,
now, the second issue, sorry, let me quickly make this point. The second issue is that if you think about the amount of money that the state governments have been calling security votes in Nigeria, and if you think about the amount of money that we have spent in court prosecutions, if you think about the amount of money we've spent in many things that are security induced, and we channel them back into a structure, which is why I'm saying we need to agree on that structure. I've refrained from talking about state policing. I've refrained from talking about restructuring because my point is that when we give titles to serious issues, sometimes we miss the point. The point is that Nigerian security architecture needs to be reformed to a structure where the funding that is already existing can be channeled into achieve better results.
Mr. Chidoka, I think you have made very valid points and you've spoken to solutions, and we do appreciate that. From time to time, we'll still be calling on you if we need your opinion on topics like this, but we want to appreciate your time and your contribution. So thank you for joining us today. We'll go back to the studio to the Senator. And Senator, Osasu spoke about funding, but the truth of the matter is that a lot of money every year is sent to the Ministry of Defense to funding the police for security. And there's the question of implementation. As a representative of your people, how can we actually ensure that the money even allocated to this is being supervised, monitored, and ensure that there's actual implementation using these funds for security? Okay,
thank you very much. Let me now say this where I would say corruption comes in. Because definitely, you know, the main problem we have in this country is corruption. And in most cases, you see the corruption is at the top. Of course, everybody knows that just last 3 or 4 years, the money found from all these former service chiefs, you know, of which, of course, to look at that money alone, maybe can enough a whole state. One person has just taken away that money, can enough the whole state to tackle its security. Therefore, there must be, we have to have a structure whereby, yes, we monitor the money being given out. Of course, as you said, that Federal Minister of Defense always have largest share. But I think there's no proper monitoring to make sure that yes, that money is being spent accordingly.
But the Senate has a role to also hold them accountable. And what's the National Assembly doing about that?
The National Assembly is always trying to do. I could recall even just yesterday, on Thursday, we reviewed the budget, you know, and passed it. So this is what we always say, implementation. You know, the problem is, of course, executive side, all what we do is, of course, we pass the budget, And then the executive has to have a monitoring, mechanism whereby they will make sure that, yes, the money is spent accordingly. We have also what we call oversight. Yes, we normally go on the other side to see, yes, if the money is spent accordingly. So, but you will see majority of the times when you go there, you will see, of course, there's a problem in those MDS. Maybe, you will not be given the correct information. Most definitely, that's what I say. At our end, at least after passing the budget, we are also trying to monitor it. But the executive side also definitely have to make sure that they have a mechanism that will monitor the spendings of the budget accordingly. Because I could recall, let me tell you just an example. In my local government in Katsina State, one time I just walked in the police DPO's office. Do you know that in that DPO's office, a single vehicle is not there, at least to function. Motorbike is not there. I asked, okay, how do you do? So imagine, and there's always money allocated for that.
Has that changed in your state?
No, I'm telling you, that's what I'm trying to tell you. And what is causing all those is corruption. Maybe at the top they are not sending the money. I believe when there's a budget for the police, whichever municipal police or police force headquarters or police commission, if at all this money at least is being spent properly, you won't have all this problem. Assuming, for example, now you have a DPO office, has no vehicles, no even motorbike, and when you call him, please, there's a bandit coming here to attack us. Do you want him to run and then go just...
so the reason we have the three arms of government, the judiciary, the legislature, and the executive, is so you guys can checkmate each other. How is the legislative arm of government checkmating the executive?
Yes, that's what I'm trying to tell you. We are doing our best, of course, to make sure that, yes, we do the oversight.
But there's more you can do.
Yes, of course. So, but in a nutshell, you can see, for example, when I was asking him, he was saying that maybe they expect self-government to assist them with. I thought, but at least, are you working under self-government? It's a federal. It's a security agency. So that's what I'm saying. Until all of us, we have to, of course, the same thing, for example, now, the common man also in a village. He has to report what he is seeing. Most time you will just call a police, okay, they are handicapped. They have no vehicle, no motorbike to run and see what to talk lots of ammunition. I'm telling you that, yes, it was, if I just don't wanted police to talk long, but the main problem, all of us have to come together. It's a teamwork to challenge, to fight this insecurity. We cannot only just allow, of course, maybe the security. For example, now many people have been agitating that the president should change the, service chiefs. So, of course, maybe if we change them, there could be some improvement. But the problem, are they not also the ones that are going to be appointed? They also started the same way. So unless all of us sit down, this is what I always said, some people, they say, we have to have fear of God in our mind. Unless we have, whoever you are, whether a Muslim, a Christian, a pagan, of course, once you know that, yes, whatever you are doing is God seeing you, and of course, definitely one day you will die and go back to Him. So, but that's what our people don't want. They will start thinking, no, it's a modern time that we have to talk of the technology. How do we use technology? Just like what you are like arguing with Senator, saying that, sharing information. Of course, when you share the information, but what are you going to do? Implementation is the most important. So unless all of us come together and agree that, yes, we have a problem, because I keep on saying, of course, if we allow this banditry to continue and kidnapping, maybe villagers, one day it will come to, maybe in your house, you think you are in Abuja, sleeping comfortably. One day, after capturing the villages, the local government, they will come to the cities.
No one is secure. That's definitely something we can all agree on. But what I'm hearing from you, distinguished senator, is that we need systemic reforms. We need systemic reforms in the law enforcement agency across all sectors. So how do we go about this? How do we go about
Yes, of course, like, for example, I could recall last 2 months, we invited the Inspector General, IG. In fact, he stayed with us for 7 hours. Issue of this for, community policing. So, but we have to say, okay, let's think other ways that, of course, we can not only maybe we stop on the security agents with the uniform. Just as I was saying initially, that this, traditional liaison with them is very important. At least taking data, they have, of course, they have their scribes that they know everybody. Okay, how many houses they have in that village, and how many people are there. That immediately a stranger come, they have to, screen him. If, for example, they found that yes, it's not somebody, they ask him. So if we are doing that to liaison, definitely something will happen. At least one day. But if we continue to allow it, just I said it the other time when I was presenting my motion, that yes, if we continue like this, one day we wake up that, of course, all the bandits will also come to the cities and start attacking people. So unless we sit down, we see everybody contribute. If, for example, now, maybe a villager, you get any information quickly, transport it. But also we need that issue of, having equipment to tackle the security has to be there. And
you spoke also about strengthening our traditional rulers and
traditional
institutions.
With them. I still have belief in that one. Because they have information. Like, for example, now the military are there in Katsina, the team, combined team. In fact, I know some of the village heads, I was calling them, they will tell look, they know the kidnappers, they have their houses in the village. But they fear that, of course, if they give the information, now the kidnapper will come back and go and kill them. So could you imagine?
But you know what, I have a concern with that. The state government and federal government, they have sat down with the leaders of these bandits to negotiate. So there's a way to communicate and contact these people. You have an agreement and they fill that agreement. This is why we have like the judiciary, and this is why I speak about deterrence. Nothing has been done to any of those leaders. None of them have been arrested to say, listen, we had a pact, we had an agreement, and this failed. So we have identified the people who are responsible. What happens to prosecuting them if they can't stick to peaceful agreements? Because people are dying, and each of those people dying, they have names, they have relatives, they have families. And so it goes beyond the numbers.
So now it seems the state governments are realizing that, yes, that whatever you call it, either agreement or amnesty is not, is not a correct way to do. Because, of course, when you sit down with them, they agree. You know, one thing I just wanted to tell you, want you to know. Those people, they are making money. When they kidnapped, at least they collected ransom in millions. So it's hardly, you cannot just easily, we are human beings. You cannot just easily stop them from that one, maybe in a polite way. So until maybe, just like, waging war with them, then after maybe they are defeated or they are about to be defeated, then they can say, okay, please, let's come and negotiate. But just at, ordinary way, I doubt much if that can be a solution to this banditry and the kidnapping. So we have to really go back to our drawing table. We sit down, we invite all the stakeholders. We see how we could, because this is a very, look at what when the Boko Haram started. I could recall there are some people now calling the government that time, the police, you should do something, fire on the mountain. But the government neglected until when these people became very strong and started taking over local governments. And the same thing now with the bandits also. So if serious action is not taken against these people, definitely they will start taking over local governments. And then from there, if they took over local government, what again? State government.
I just wonder, distinguished Senator, where the hope lies. Economically, Nigeria is not prospering. Politically, we're not prospering because our two major political parties lack any ideology. Security-wise, as you have said and lamented on the program, we lack the structure to actually bring about any feasible change. Insecurity is the order of the day in Nigeria. More people have died from insecurity since the pandemic started than the actual coronavirus has killed, So there are structural problems all around, economically, politically, everywhere there are problems, and you as a legislator you're also lamenting the problems here, and I'm just wondering where the hope lies for Nigerians.
Okay, so let me tell
quickly,
you that
because we're about to
yes, of course. First of all, let me tell you, let's all of us come and realize, check ourselves. what is happening. Of course, not, you cannot, it's not only a work of legislatures. Because when you propose, at least somebody has to implement. Just as say we pass budget, the executive implement the spending of the budget. So I believe that we have to strongly continue praying. That's the first and foremost. And then again, we now come and sit down. As I say, go back to our drawing table and see, yes, where do we have mistake? And then correct it.
Distinguished Senator, that's a fine place to leave it. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure meeting you.
You're most welcome, sir. That's all we have for you on today's program. Keep hope. Keep pushing. One day something will give. But we Nigerians, we really need to sit up and start to have more of these conversations and take action, because we've been talking. We will not get tired of talking, but something really needs to be done. Something needs to be changed to bring about any difference in our society, economically, politically, whatever the situation is. But we'll keep doing our best and we'll stay put, and I pray the rest of you do so as well. Follow us on social media at Weekend Show NG on Instagram, Facebook and Twitter. Follow Andy and I at
Andy Madaki on Twitter and Instagram.
And Osasu Igbinedion on Instagram, Facebook and Twitter. We'll see you same time, same place next week. And until then, take very good care of yourself. God bless you. Stay safe and stay home when it's not necessary for you to go out. Take care.
It's The Weekend with your host,